started. Now, for question number one, we are given that Hector used a tool, an auger, to remove corn from a storage bin at a constant rate. Okay, now next is the bin contained 24,000 bushels of corn when Hector began to use the auger, and after 5 hours of using the tool, 19,350 bushels of corn remain in the bin. Okay, so these are the one that is left in the bin. Now, if auger continues to remove the corn at the same rate, what is the total number of hours Hector will have been using the auger when 12,840 bushels of corn remain in the bin? Okay, so in this problem we are basically looking for the number of hours that the tool has been utilized, so that after using that tool for that many hours we are just left with 12,840 bushels here. Okay, now to solve this problem, let us first figure out that rate that they are talking about, the constant rate here. Okay, so let's see that initially we had uh, 24,000 bushels, and then after 5 hours we are left with 19,350. So the rate will be the number of bushels that is being removed from the bin divided by the number of hours. So this, if we do the math here, this becomes 4650 divided by 5, that is 390 bushels per hour. Okay, so this is the rate at which this tool is removing the bushels from the bin. Now, if auger or if Hector continues to remove the corn at this specific rate, what is the total hours that we are looking for? Okay, and the end number of corn bushels that will be in the bin is 12,840. So let us write the linear equation here. We started with 24,000. We are removing at a rate of 390 per hour. So that is the unknown we are trying to figure out. So let's skip it as a variable x. And this end result will be equals to 12,840. That after removing for x hours we are left with 12,840 bushels in the bin. Now we just need to solve this linear expression and figure out the value of x. So let's simplify this thing. It will become 360x equals to 24,000 minus 12,840. This is equals to 11,160, and x is equals to 11,160 divided by 360, and that is coming 12 hours. So the correct answer for this problem will be 12 hours here. Okay, so to recap, first of all, we have to figure out that constant rate. And once we have that constant rate, we can calculate what is the total number of hours has been utilized in order to lower down the number of bushels from 24,000 to 12,840 bushels here. Okay, now let's look at problem number 2 here. A factory that makes 9-inch, 7-inch, let me get the highlighter here, 9-inch, 7-inch, and 4-inch concrete screws. And during a certain day, the number of 9-inch concrete screws that the factory makes is 5 times the number n of 7-inch concrete screws, and the number of 4-inch concrete screw is 22. Now, during this day, the factory makes 100 concrete screws in total. Which equation represent this situation? Okay, so basically we have a factory that on a particular day make 100 concrete screws, and they are of three different types. One of them is 9-inch, the other one is 7-inch, and 4-inch in length. And we have to figure out basically an expression that represents this scenario here. Okay, so let's dive into it and see how we can solve this thing. So let me assign some variables. Let's say that the number of 9-inch screws that the company is making is given by the variable x, and similarly the number of 7 screws is given by y, and the 4-inch one is given by the variable z. Okay, now since we know that the total number of screws that are made in a day is equals to 100, so we have x plus y plus z equals to 100. So this is the equation that we are trying to figure out. Now let's figure out what is the value of x, y, and z here. So it is given to us that the number of 9-inch concrete screws, that is x variable, that the factory makes is 5 times the number n we have. So let's do x is equals to 5 times the number n, and of 7-inch concrete screw. So basically the 7-inch concrete screw that we have taken as y is our variable n here. And finally the number of 4-inch concrete screw is 22. So our value of z is equals to 22. Okay, now let's plug that thing in our equation A. This will become 5n plus n plus 22 is equals to 100. And if we simplify this thing, this will become 6n plus 22 equals to 100. And that is our option D here. Okay, so one easier way is assign variables in this particular process, and then from the question list down what each variable represent or is equals to, and finally we can have this equation here. Now let's look into the third problem. Alan drives an average of 100 miles each week, and his car can travel an average of 25 miles per gallon of gasoline. And Alan would like to reduce his weekly expenditure on gasoline by $5. Assuming the cost of gasoline is $4 per gallon, which equation can Alan use to determine how many fewer average miles M he should drive each week? So basically, Alan wants to reduce his gas bill by $5, and he's trying to figure out how many less number of miles he should drive in order to do so. Okay, so to solve this problem, we are basically looking for what is the cost to drive a single mile. And once we have that cost, we can figure out how many less number of miles he should drive in order to save that $5 here. Okay, so let's say cost to drive a single mile is uh, based on the car average. So the car average is 25 miles per gallon, and the cost per gallon is $4. So for 1 mile, the actual cost will be 4 over 25. Okay, so this is the dollar amount that is used to cost Alan to drive 1 mile. Now, since he is looking to figure out uh, the fewer number of miles, so m variable here, so to cost to drive m miles will be 4 over 25 times m. Okay, and he wants to figure out what is the value of m so that his cost is lower down by $5. So we have a cost of $5, and the expression becomes this guy, that m is the number of fewer miles that will lower down the cost by $5. So let's see which option we have here. We have option D is the right answer for this problem. Now, in problem number 4, we are given an equation, and we have to figure out how many solution does this equation has. And we are given 4 options here. So we are mainly looking for the number of solution this equation have. Now, let's look at this equation and try to simplify this thing a little bit. Because whenever you have these questions, we are basically looking for how many values of x will satisfy this equation here. And depending upon values of x, we can figure out either it will be exactly 1, exactly 2, many values, infinitely many, or 0 values we have here. Okay. So let's simplify this thing. If I multiply 10 and distribute this 10 here, it will become 150x minus 90 equals to minus 15 times 6 will be negative 90, minus times minus, or minus 15 times minus 10 will become positive 150x here. Okay. And if you look, this expression is identical on both sides of the equal sign. I can rearrange it here. Now, in order to figure out at which values of x this will satisfy, or this will be true. So if I change the value of x equals to 0, then both sides will be equal to one another, that is negative 90. If I change the value of x equals to 1, then again both sides will be equals to one another, because we have identical expression. Okay, so to figure out how many solutions does this equation have, the correct answer will be infinitely many, because at any value of x, this equation is satisfied. So whenever we have identical expressions on the two sides of the equation, we have infinitely many solutions for this problem here. Okay. Now let's look at our fifth problem. And here we are also given an expression, a linear equation with a single variable. And we are given a constant k here in the expression. And we are given that the equation has no solution here. So this doesn't have any solution. And we have to figure out the value of k here. Now, whenever they say that the equation has no solution, means that whatever the value of x you will put in this equation, they won't be equals to one another. So the right hand side won't be equals to the left hand side of the expression. Now, since we have linear equations on each side, what does that mean is basically these two equations, since we have this as a linear equation and this guy as a linear equation, so mainly both these lines are parallel to one another. Okay, so in this case I can convert this guy into a form of equation of line that you recall is slope. So I have 3kx plus 3 times 13, that will become 39, equals to, I have 48 over 17 x plus 36. Okay, so this is the expression we have. Now each one of them is representing an equation of line. So mainly I have one line here and another line here, and since it has no solution, meaning that the slope of these two lines is identical to one another. Okay, so because they are parallel to one another, however, their intercepts will be different. Okay, so this is the main condition, that slopes are equal and the intercept is different in order to satisfy our no solution condition here. Okay, so let's see the slopes here and compare them since they are equal. Now the slopes will be the thing that is multiplied with the variable x. So the slope of this linear expression is 3k, and for this one is 48 over 17. So let's equate these two together. 17, and if I cross multiply, k will become r 48 over 17 times 3, and let's simplify this thing. This will become 3 1, and this is r 16. So the value of k is 16 over 17 here. Now, one thing we do need to verify, that is the second condition, that the intercept needs to be different. If you look at the expression here, the intercept for the first one is 39 and for the other one is 36. So it does satisfy the second condition here as well. So the correct answer for this problem will be k equals to 16 over 17 here. Okay. Now, let's look at our problem number 6. Now, for problem number 6, we are given that a certain product cost a company $65 to make, and the product is sold by a salesperson who earns a commission that is equals to 20% of the sales price of the product. Now, the profit the company makes for each unit is equals to the sales price minus the combined cost of making the product and the commission here. Okay, now if the sales price of the product is $100, which of the following equation give the number of units u of the product the company sold to make a profit of $6,840 here? Okay, so basically we have to figure out an expression that represents that the total profit of $6,840 is being made by selling u number of units of the product here. Okay, so we are looking for the profit equation here. So let's figure out the profit for a single unit first, and then we can multiply that thing with the u number of units to figure out the total profit here. Okay, so we are given that the profit is basically the sales price, that is $100, minus the combined cost of making the product, and the cost to make the product is $65, and the commission, and for the commission that is 20% of the sales price. So minus 20% of the sales price, that is $100 here. Okay, now this is the profit on one unit. Now since we are looking for u number of units, I just need to multiply this thing with the variable u, and this will give me the profit for u number of units. Now in the problem we are given what is the actual value of profit, so let's plug that thing in. I have 6,840 equals to 100 minus zero point 0.2 times 100 minus 65 times u here, and this is our expression. Now looking at our options, I can rearrange this thing in a bit. So let's make it, I have 100, 1 minus zero point 0.2 minus 65 times u, and 6840. And if you look, option A matches our equation here. Okay, now let's look into problem number 7 here. So for this question, we are given an equation where k and n are constant and the value of n is greater than 1. Okay, now furthermore, it is given to us that the equation has no solution. Okay, and we have to figure out the value of k. Now, for the no solution condition, it means that basically no value of x can satisfy this expression here. Okay, or since we are given a linear equation with a single variable on both sides, it means that these two equations, that is representing the equation of a line, are parallel to one another. Okay, and if that is the case, their slopes should be equal, and the intercepts should be different. Okay, so these are the two conditions whenever we are given that the equation has no solution. So let's figure out what are the slopes and intercepts here, and with that we can calculate what will be the value of k here. So let's look at our very first site. uh, we have our 2kx minus 2n here, and this is equals to negative 28 over 15 x minus 36 over 19. And in this case we can simplify a little bit. I can take this 2 out and cross multiply and get rid of that 2 here. So let's do that. It will become kx minus n equals to minus 14 over 15x and minus 18 over 19 here. Okay, now once we have this expression, let's see our conditions that the slope should be equal. So the slope I have for my left hand side of the equation is given here by k, and on the right hand side it is negative 14 over 15. So equating the two slopes together, k is equals to minus 14 over 15 here. Okay, so we have the value of k. However, we cannot just leave it here. We need to verify that the second condition of intercepts is also correct, and for the intercepts the value should be different. In this case, one of the intercept is negative 18 over 19, so the value of 18 over 19 here, and on the other case I have an intercept of n. And if I compare these two, we are given in the problem that the n value is greater than 1, whereas 18 over 19 is less than 1. So they are not equals to one another, and both of the conditions are satisfied. So the value of k is negative 14 over 15 for this problem here. Now for problem number 8, we are given an equation in which we have one variable and we have to figure out the value of that variable. So let's solve this one. I have 5 times t plus 3 minus 7 times t plus 3 equals to 38. So we just have to simplify that. 5 minus 7 will become negative 2 times t plus 3 equals to 38. Let's do dividing both side by 2. This will become 19. So minus t plus 3 is equals to 19, or minus t minus 3 is equals to 19, and t is equals to negative 22 here. Now let's look at problem number 9. So here we are given the equation and we have to figure out how many solution does exist for this equation. Now whenever we are given a problem like how many solutions, we have to look at the potential values of x that will satisfy this expression. So let's simplify the equation here. I have 12x minus 12 times 3, that will be 36, equals to minus 3x minus 36 here. Okay, now since I have this 36 and negative 36, they will cancel out. So it will become 12x plus 3x equals to negative 36 plus 36 equals to 0, and 15x is equals to 0. Dividing by 15 on both sides, it becomes x equals to 0. So I have exactly one solution for the given equation shown here. Now for problem number 10, we are given that the Tansin Realty Group invested in 5 different properties listed in the table shown to the right. The table shows the amount in dollars the company paid for each property and the corresponding monthly rental price in dollars the company charges for the property at each of these 5 locations. Now, the Tansin Realty purchased the Glenview Street property, and we have the Glenview Street here, and received a 40% discount off the original price, along with an additional 20% off the discounted price for purchasing the property in cash. So they got 2 levels of discount here. Now, which of the following best approximate the original price in dollars of the Glenview Street property? So they're basically asking us to figure out what was the listed price initially for that property, and after the discount we know that the purchase price is shown here. Okay, so let's say we assign a variable for the original price as x, and let's start applying the discount. So for the very first thing, they have mentioned that they receive a 40% discount off the original price. Now, if I want to calculate a discount of 40%, meaning that they have paid 60% of the listed price, so it will be x times zero point 0.6 we have. Okay, now after that, along with an additional 20% off the discounted price for purchasing the property in cash. So this is now the discounted price, and an additional 20% off the discounted price. It means that I am paying 80% of that amount. So I have this here, and that will be equals to the actual purchase price, and the purchase price is 14,400 here. Okay, now we just have to simplify and figure out the value of x shown here. So let's see that x times zero point 0.6 times zero point 0.8, this will become 0.48, and that is 140,000, and x is equals to 140,000 divided by 0.48. And if we solve this thing, it is coming around 291,666.6. So the closest I am is option number B here. Now for problem number 11, we are given that each side of a 30-sided polygon has one of the three lengths. Okay, the number of sides with lengths 8 centimeter is 5 times the number of side n with a length of 3 centimeter, and there are 6 sides with a length of 4 centimeter. Which equation must be true for the value of n? Okay, so we can write an expression that a polygon has a total of 30 sides, and we have three potential lengths of the sides given here. So let us assign some variable. Let's say that x is equals to the number of sides with a length of 8 centimeter, and y is the number of sides with a length of 3 centimeter, and finally z is the number of sides with a length of 4 centimeter here. Okay, now if we add all these variables up, they should be equals to this 30 sides. So I can write an equation that x plus y plus z is equals to 30 here. Okay, let's assign a variable a to the equation. Now we have to figure out the values of this x, y, and z. So let's figure that thing out. We are given that the number of sides with the length 8 centimeter, that is x, is 5 times the number of sides n with a length of 3 centimeters. So they have already given us a variable for the number of sides with a length of 3 centimeters. So this was our y here. So our y is equals to n, and they are saying that the number of sides with length 8 centimeter, that was x, is equals to 5 times n here. Okay, and finally we have 6 sides with a length of 4 centimeters, so z is equals to 6. Now we can plug this information in the above equation, so it will become 5n plus n plus 6 equals to 30, or 6n plus 6 is equals to 30 here, and that is our option number B. Next, for problem number 12, we are given an equation that negative 3x plus 21px is equals to 84. And in the given equation, p is a constant value and the equation has no solutions. And we have to figure out the value of p. Now, for a linear equation to have no solution, it means that the above equation should be false for all the values of x. So whatever the value of x we put in the above equation, it should end up in a false statement here. Okay, so to solve this thing, let's represent x in terms of p here and see at what potential values of p the result will have no solution. So let me take negative 3x as a common, and it will become 1. This will become minus 7p equals to 84 here. Let's divide the whole equation with negative 3, so this will become x 1 minus 7p equals to negative 84 over 3, and we can simplify this thing. It will become negative 28, and I have x 1 minus 7p. Okay, further I can move 1 minus 7p on the other side, so it will be 1 minus 7p in the denominator. Now, from this expression, in order for it to have no solution, our denominator should be equals to 0. Because if the denominator is not equals to 0, we will have some value of x that will satisfy the above expression. So mainly we are looking at the denominator shown here as this guy and equating it equals to 0. So I have 1 minus 7p equals to 0, and if we simplify this thing, it will become minus 7p is equals to minus 1, and p is equals to 1 over 7. Okay, so the correct answer is option number B for this problem here. Now you can also just, a quick way of doing this problem is plug in this value in the above equation. So if I plug my value of p here in the above equation, that 1 over 7, x is equals to 84, this will become minus 3x plus 3x equals to 84, and they will cancel out. So our above equation is giving us a false statement, meaning that it doesn't have any solution at this point here. Okay, now let's move to problem number 13 we have. Now here we are given a statement that if x plus 6 divided by 3 is equals to x plus 6 divided by 13, the value of x plus 6 is between which of the following pairs of values. So we have to basically figure out our value of x plus 6 here from the given expression. Okay, so to do that, let us rewrite this expression and try to simplify this thing. So I have x plus 6 divided by 3 equals to x plus 6 divided by 13. Let me cross multiply these denominators. So it will become 13 times x plus 6 equals to 3 times x plus 6. And let's move the term on one side of the equation. So I have minus x plus 6 here equals to 0. And if we do the subtraction, this will become 10 times x plus 6 equals to 0, or x plus 6 is equals to 0 here. So the value of x plus 6 is equals to 0. And let's see in which one of these pairs is lies. Option number A, I have -7 and -3. 0 doesn't lie between them. Then I have -2 and 2. 0 does lie between these two numbers here. So the correct answer for this question will be option number B here. Okay, now let's move to our question number 14 here. And again, we are given an equation that -49x is equals to -98x. And we have to figure out how many solution does the given equation have. Okay, so basically figure out the potential values of x that will satisfy this equation here. So let's figure that thing out. I have -49x. If I move this guy on the other side of equation, it will become positive 98x equals to 0, or simplifying 49x equals to 0, or x is equals to 0 after dividing this thing by 49 on both sides. So the above equation has exactly one solution, that this equation will be valid only when the value of x is equals to 0. Any other value of x will make this equation false. Okay, now let's see question number 15. We are given an equation that 9x plus 5 is equals to a times x plus b, where a and b are constants here and has no solutions. Okay, so again, a no solution condition is there. Now for the no solution condition present, and if we are given a couple of linear equations that are equated as shown in the expression above, uh, we can identify two things that must satisfy. One of them is the slopes of these line or linear equation should be equal. That is one of the condition. And the second condition is that the intercepts should be different. Okay, now in this case, let's take the slope on both sides. For first one, I have 9x plus 5. The slope is the constant multiplied with the variable x, as the equation of line is mx plus b, where m is your slope and b is the intercept here. So the slope here is 9, and on the other end I have a slope of a that is being multiplied with x. So I have one expression that a is equals to 9 here. Okay, now next is the intercept condition, that the intercept should be different. In this case, for the first one, I have an intercept of 5, and that 5 should be different, not equals to the intercepts in the above equation, that is a times b. Okay, so I have a times b here. Okay, now since we have the value of a equals to 9, let's plug that thing here. It will become 5 is not equals to 9 times b, and b becomes not equals to 5 over 9. So this is another results that we have here. Okay, now based on these two expressions, let's see our options here. They're asking which statement must be true. I have a equals to 9, that is true, and I have b not equals to 5 over 9, that is true as well. So the only option I see here is option number D, that 1 and 3 are correct in the above question. Okay, now finally coming to the last problem of this video, that if a science teacher is preparing 5 stations of science laboratory, and each station will have either experiment A materials or experiment B materials, but not both. So of the 5 stations, it will be either experiment A or experiment B happening. Now, experiment A requires 6 teaspoons of salt, and experiment B requires 4 teaspoons of salt. So I have uh, different quantity of salts that is being utilized in each one of these experiments. Now they are asking if X is the number of station that will be set up for experiment A. So let's write this information as well. So number of station set up for experiment A is equals to X, and the remaining station will be set up for experiment B. Okay, so since we have total 5, the remaining will be 5 minus X. So the number of station set up for experiment B is 5 minus X here. Okay, now which of the following expressions represent the total number of teaspoons of salt required? Okay, so if we add all the salts that is being required for the experiments, what will be that total number? So now we can write the linear expression. I know for experiment A, I will need 6 teaspoons of salt. So X times 6. And for experiment B, I will need 4 teaspoons. So I have 5 minus X times 4, and that will be the total salt I will need here. So let's simplify this thing. I have 6x plus 20 minus 4x equals to the total salt, and this will become 2x plus 20 here. Okay, so the correct response is option number C here. So these were the 16 hard questions on the concept of linear equation with a single variable. I hope you enjoy the video. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for similar content. Thank you guys.